Hi, hard water is costing you a lot more damage than you possibly could imagine, and silently it's ruining your home. And believe it or not, it can cost you thousands of dollars and affect you in ways you have no idea. If you're noticing spots on your dishes, if you're noticing dry, itchy skin, dry, brittle hair, you're like, oh my God, frizzy, and you're buying tons of conditioner. If you notice that your laundry is stiff and it's not soft any longer, then you are in desperate need of getting your water softener serviced today, because it is starting to cost you thousands of dollars. Neglecting 17 warning signs that your water softener is not working correctly could mean higher energy bills, plumbing costs go up, your appliance break down faster, your bathroom starts to get scaled up and cost you more money. You're going to spend more time, personal time, cleaning, spending more money on cleaning bills. You could be spending more money on your laundry bills. It could be a costly mistake, and let's talk about how you can avoid that today. Now, hard water spots are noticeable on dishes and glassware. That's where you're going to see it probably first and foremost, in addition to seeing it on the shower stall. But your dishes and your silverware, you're going to start to see white spots on it from the dishwasher. In fact, if you open up the dishwasher, you might see white film building up on that black rubber seal around the outside. That's number one warning sign, is that your dishes, that glassware that you're drinking from every day, you literally see it. See, what happens a lot of times with water softeners is that they slowly start to go bad. So it's hard, like your skin starts to get used to it. You start noticing you're itching a little bit more. You start using more and more hair conditioner. So you don't notice some of those things. But when you raise that glass of water and you notice white spots on it, there is your number one indicator, first indicator. The second indicator, and people don't even notice it, is that dry, itchy skin. Like you start using lotions because you're like, my skin's itchy, my face is itchy, my hair is itchy. What is causing this to happen? That's a water softener starting to fail, meaning it's not getting all the rock out of the water. By the way, that removing the rock is what the objective is of a water softener. A lot of times I find people, they've sat down and they've bought a water softener and they don't even know what it does, right? They're like, I don't know what this thing does. So this video is about to make sure that you remember that a water softener takes the rock out of the water. So that said, let's continue on. What are the 17 signs that your water softener is broken? Number 3 is soap and scum buildup. You're in your shower stall and you see on the floor it's getting more white, or the shower stall is getting more white. If you are, you see soap scum more and more places, that is a very clear indicator that your water softener is starting to stop work. You have to remember that calcium mixed with hard water or rock creates like a salt, and then it becomes a buildup everywhere, and that soap scum is something that's hard to get clean. So you may find yourself that you're buying little bubbles or whatever that cleaner is. Number 4 is low water pressure. Let's imagine that your water softener is rather old. Well, water pressure can be a big reason for it. Why? Because what happens is the filter material inside is getting broken down and becomes mushy. So that low water pressure means that maybe the water softener is not working right. Now you can go ahead and bypass the water softener. If the pressure goes up, bing, 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 there you are. You're already a service technician and I want to hire you. Because a water softener, when we bypass it, if we see the water pressure goes up, we know that you have we have material in here that is getting really, really old, and it's getting mushy, and it doesn't allow the water to pass through it. Number 5, lathering. We want to talk about lathering. When you go to shampoo or wash your hands, you notice that you're not getting those bubbles anymore. You're washing your hair, you're like, I need more shampoo. That's a big indicator that soap is fighting the rock in the water and you're not getting that lather. Remember, lather comes up immediately, like we're talking just a teaspoon of, like a fingernail of shampoo should get you so much bubbles on your hair that you can't even believe it. If you don't have that, this guy's not working right. Number 6, your laundry is stiff. You got to put it on, and you're like, you start buying Downy because you're like, oh, there's something, I don't know if I like this or not. Well, wait a second, the water softener may not be working all that well right now. That's a very good indicator on that stiff laundry. If you have salty water, let's say that you go taste your water, or you're taking a shower and you taste something, you're like, this tastes salty. That's a clear indicator that this guy's not working right. It's not rinsing itself correctly, so it needs service right away. It's very important to remember that salt is not good for you. The brine tank, if you have a water softener and there's water falling on the floor next to that salt tank that holds the salt, boom, you know that you have this problem. By the way, if the salt hasn't gone down in a while, you haven't had to buy salt for a while, ding, 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 that's another reason why it's not working quite right. Salt bridges, that would mean that you aren't using salt, but in some cases, especially in humid environments like the basement of a house, where you got a lot of humidity, or you're like down in Florida or southern regions where there's a lot of humidity, you can get what's called a salt bridge. Again, it wouldn't be using salt, and you can check that by feeling the side of the tank. If the bottom sounds empty, that means that actually what has happened is the salt's on top and nothing's underneath it, and that's called salt bridging. Then there's high salt usage. Sometimes water softeners are using a ton of salt and they're going off every day. Now, usually that's a service technician. They may have been out at your house and you complained of hard water, and they just, rather than actually having a conversation with you to say, hey, your unit's getting kind of old, let's go ahead and talk about a replacement or rebuilding the unit head to toe, they just put an calendar override to make it use more salt. When in reality what's happened is a lot of that filter material over time evaporates. It basically breaks down and rinses down the drain. So now they're tricking this unit to go through a regeneration more often. So that can be a fault of the service technician that was out at the house. Again, I don't mean to teach you to be a service tech, but it is important for you to be able to see that. Now, if it's leaking, a lot of times we'll have people say, oh my God, my water softener is leaking on the ground. You know, what is that? Well, it means that it's broken, right? Pretty simple. That one's pretty obvious to be able to know. Frequent regeneration. If you notice that this thing is going off a couple times, like in one day, you hear it going through the cycle, or it's going and going and going and going and going, that's a big indicator that something's wrong, because they can get stuck in a cycle using water. Warning, your water bill is going to be crazy. If you don't address that right away, you could be getting a huge water bill from your water company, or if you're on a private well, guess what? You could literally be wearing out your well pump, and that is a very big concern for you as you move forward with this. Now, let's talk about the other ones that we have. We have excessive water usage is number 13, and so that would mean that if for some reason you do get a larger water bill than normal, you'd be able to go back and say, let me take a look at this water softener, maybe that's the issue. Okay, number 14, that actually could be noisy operation. In the middle of the night, most of the time, these things are programmed to go off at 2 o'clock in the morning. You hear something going off and it lasts longer and longer, or it's extra loud. Sometimes we hear hammering. That's water hammering. Like you hear a thump in the middle of the night. That could be your sump pump, but it also could be the water softener going through its cycles depending on which kind of water softener you have. So that could be a really big thing as well. That was number 14. Number 15 is discolored water. Right? Let's say that the water is starting to change color. Some people on wells might start to see more of an orange color. Some people that are using water see some bubbling in their water. It becomes a little gray in color, and then the bubbles settle out. That's a sign that something might be going wrong with this bad guy as well. So that discolored water is a big issue. If you get number 16, if you have a foul smell to the water, yeah, something doesn't smell right. Well, we want to make sure a true professional comes out, because A, we want to make sure that the water softener is not hard piped into a sewer line. It should have an air gap to it. So there was a story in Colorado where a company literally took the drain line from this unit and drilled a hole into the sewer line and popped these in there. Well, this was a very big company and they kept doing it, and hundreds of people got sick. They called the Department of Health and they uncovered that they all got Crohn's disease from an improperly installed water softener. So houses turn hands every 4 to 7 years. So you might have you may have absorbed a water softener when you bought the house. You need to make sure you have a true professional or a licensed plumber to make sure that this unit is properly installed in the house. It's worth that $180 charge or $200 charge to have a plumber just check things out for you, just because your health is at risk. Yeah, Crohn's disease is something that just doesn't go away. Think about the medical costs those people have. Yes, they had a class action lawsuit. Yes, that company no longer exists. But the reality is the water smelled bad and the company ignored it. They could have probably avoided the whole thing if they took a proactive approach, ran out, and then defined what was causing the issue, which was themselves. But in any regard, foul-smelling water is also an indicator that maybe the resin or the filter material has broken down and isn't quite right. And that was number 16. 17 is your water softener's age. Now, this is the last and most important one. By the way, if you like this video, please press like. If you know someone with a water softener, please share this. Please join our community because we'd love to have you part of our community. You can always reach us at angelwater.com as well. Now, number 17, this is an important one. Your age, right? How old is this guy? Because here's something most companies don't educate you on, because a lot of companies want to be able to be like the hero. Hey, this thing's going to last forever. Well, there's no such thing as something that lasts forever. I mean, water softeners in the manual, they say they need an annual service call. Why? Because we bring citric acid into this filter material, so it cleans it. We check it. We make sure it's draining correctly. We make sure everything's working correctly. We test the water before and after. Why? Because your raw water can change. So we need to be able to make adjustments to the programming of the unit. So an annual service call is in your manual. It says that you should do it, but more importantly, you should just do it because it will maintain and help it live as long as possible. Now, this age, if the unit starts to get to years 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years old, bing, 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 the filter material. Okay, that's this material. If we take a look at this, is a baby water softener here. Inside here is filter material inside that tank. That filter material does tend to go bad, right? It doesn't last forever. It's not magical. So you need to be able to get that changed out. We're on definitely a couple different EPA cases. That's where the water has so much radium in the water that a water softener is mandated by the federal government, the EPA, for the people in these communities. Now, that water softener, we replace that resin right around 10 years because at that point, it's no longer pulling the radium out of the water. Now, radium is a carcinogen. There's radium-228, radium-226, and barium. So these are toxins that are in your water that we know that the manufacturer has said, oh, you know what? If you want to make sure you're getting that radium out and you want to extend the longevity, you should replace it around year 8, 7, 8, 9, or 10, depending on the water usage. Clearly, a family of 2 might go out to 11 years. A family of 6, you might need to do that at 7 years. So I hope that gives you some understanding, because obviously with a family of 6, we have a lot more water running through the unit compared to a family of 2 or 1, where it will last a lot longer. Again, that annual service visit from us is going to help you define whether or not you really need to do and replace that filter material. That's one of the big components about testing the water. By the way, we always test hot water, so we're testing the hot water to see if there's days that the raw water, the water is not soft, and we're getting raw water into the water heater. So a true professional coming out to your house, they're going to test the cold and then the hot, because what can happen is in between the cleaning cycle of this guy, you can have a bad day and it's not working, and that means the filter material has really gotten old. So what we hope is that these 17 signs help educate you on whether or not you bought the unit or you inherited the unit because you bought the house. This is great information to help you become a professional and understand your family's water, because our goal here is to empower you to be able to become as healthy as possible and help your family save as much money as possible. Both of those can be achieved with a healthy, well-working water softener. If you have any questions on this, you can always reach out to us at 847-382-7800. Contact us through the web at angelwater.com. You can check out our link below. We look forward to be able to serve you. As you know, my name is Drew, and my passion is to be able to serve you. Have a great day.